Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to this week. Boy, gosh darn it, holy banana bread. What a week it has been. Wow. We've certainly been through the ringer this week. No doubt about it. Um, oh boy. The trade war. The trade war. Who could have seen that coming? Um, well, I saw it coming, but I actually, it's kind of funny. So when we were coming into Wednesday, I thought we wouldn't get there, but we'd get an extension on the deadline. And we did. We got 3 days. And coming into Friday, even Friday, when we signed off for the day, I didn't think we were going to get the deal. And I did not think we would get the deal, but I thought we would get another extension. Well, I was wrong about that. Um, there's no deal. We got ourselves a trade war. There's no other way to call it that, to call it anything else. It's gonna be it could get messy, but what can I say? I think the surprising part though, I think the surprising part is how close they appeared to be. Both sides were saying we're really close to getting a deal. I know I was skeptical, but I was surprised they even got as close as they did. And then, of course, Friday night, um, apparently, now there's two sides of the story. There's the U.S. side and there's the Canadian side. I'm going to go with the Canadian side. So, according to Carney, the U.S. tried to sneak in a few extra tidbits into the agreement that were unacceptable for Canada, and as a result, Carney called back all of the folks, all of our negotiators. Come on home to Ottawa. That's it. We're done. The U.S. is obviously not not dealing in good faith, and well, if what is coming out as to those extra conditions, if they're true, then yeah, I think he 100% made the right move. Um, so let me just, I kind of want to look at those conditions a little bit. Um, I'll just say this. Right now, the best way to sort of look at it is as we were nearing the goalpost, Trump's team moved the goalpost. So, it definitely wasn't fair. Um, one of the conditions, and I'll talk about this a tiny bit. One of the conditions was that the U.S. was going to have veto power on any deals we want to make with other countries. Seriously? Really? That's ridiculous. That one alone is enough to say, no way, Jose. Although if we did it that way, ICE might deport him. So we probably have to use a different word. But nonetheless, that was one. All right. Another condition. He's not very happy with French Canada. So all of the, putting things on, containers in English and French, he wanted none of that. And apparently, I think that was the tip of the iceberg. I think there was more to it than that. But yeah, obviously, if we agreed to something like that, that would be very unfair to Quebec. And plus, I like to use the French part as my, so I know how bad my French is when I read it. I'm like, okay, yeah, nope, nope, nope. My French has gotten much worse. But nonetheless, those are just a couple of the things that he wants in there. It didn't really, to me, it was almost like he was trying to economically turn us into, yep, you guessed it, the 51st state. So it's kind of like, yeah, no, no. So I'm glad. Honestly, I'm kind of glad Carney turned this deal down. And of course, we are going to hit back. Now the big talks. So I think Carney found his big boy pants because he's talking about hitting them dollar for dollar. And that's not a bad way to go. That's, and the thing is, we can get really tough with this. We've got a lot of stuff they need. I don't think it'll get to the point where we have to, start threatening them with energy. And honestly, I don't want to do that. I'm kind of okay. Like, you know what? If the U.S. will just mind their own business and sort of let our retaliatory 50% tariffs, or however that's going to look, let that be the end of it. And he can have his tariffs. We'll have our tariffs. I think Canada would be better off. But, of course, we all know Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not one to just let something go. He's the type that it's like, okay, I'm gonna punish you, but if you do anything back, I'm gonna punish you harder. So that is the danger. But for now, let's just see how this goes. The Canadian, whatever the form of our tariff retaliation looks like, that's not going to drop until the day after Labor Day. So I think is that the 8th? So I think this is going to be very interesting. So, and I don't even feel like, I don't even feel like this is even about tariffs, to be honest. I kind of feel like this is just Donald Trump trying to put Canada under his thumb. Do you remember what he said way back at the beginning of this term? I am going to annex Canada. And that when he was asked, are you going to do it militarily? He said, no, economically. Well, this kind of fits into that game plan. So I think we're back to elbows up. I don't know if I like elbows up as a saying, but why not? Stand strong. Let's keep doing what we are doing. Keep diversifying our trade. We can absorb, like when you hear the 50%, you think that's a lot of tariffs. It's not. We can absorb it. It's only $25 billion, I think, of goods or whatever, or 2.5 billion. It's not a lot of goods. No, I think it's 25. No, actually, I think it's 28. There we go. 28 billion. There we go. But it's not. That's not a lot. It's roughly 5% of what we send down there. Now, what is concerning though is some of these items are covered by CUSMA, and that's being kind of thrown aside. So that doesn't bode well for CUSMA. So it would not shock me. It would not shock me if they give that 6-month notice to terminate CUSMA. They haven't done that yet. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me. I hope they don't, because it'd make it a little bit easier for the next president to come in and try to clean up the mess that Trump is making. I mean, Trump is making a mess. Heck, the whole east wing of the White House is gone. So he's leaving a big pile of garbage for whoever comes in after him. And I think we're going to be fine. So I want to talk. I mean, I guess, like I said, this is not a monologue, guys. And I know it sounds almost monologue-y, but my big question is going to be, what's this going to do to the market? How much of this was priced into the market? And I know I'm going to get asked this more than once today. What's the market going to be doing tomorrow? The morning will definitely 100% be red. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. We will have a red morning. But the question will be, have we priced in enough of this into the market that we could still end up, recovering later in the day? Can we get back to the green by the end of the day? I don't think we will. I think we'll probably be slightly in the red tomorrow. I'm not expecting, I think in the morning we might be down as much as 1 to 1.5%. But I think by the end of the day, we could be, we might be like 0.2, 0.3 down, something like that. Because I do think one of the things that we will see is there will be people who panic. There will be people who sell and move their money into a safe haven. Can you guys think of a safe haven? I sure can. Gold. So we could actually see some strength in gold tomorrow. So that could be an interesting thing. So the banks, I think the banks will be shaken a little bit in the morning. But I look at it this way. If you are buying the dip tomorrow, That might happen in the morning. It might. So that's kind of, now keep in mind, this is what I think might happen. I don't have a crystal ball, and Canadians might be more freaked out than I am. And maybe things go a lot worse tomorrow than I'm anticipating. But I'll approach it with a calm head. I'll see what happens. All of that fun stuff. All right. let's get back. Let's get to the chat. Let's get to the chat. We're going to start off right away with a new channel member. MLV has joined the GOAT squad. And you know what? It's the weekend. I don't have to go in order. Let's actually do... Which one do I want to do? Which one do I want to do? I know which one. We're just going to go... In case there's no more supers today, I gotta have Space Goat and Astro Beaver up there playing Frisbee. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it, but thank you very much, MLV, for joining the channel membership. As a channel member, you get to watch videos one day early. You also get to attend. We have a special live stream on Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's called After Hours. We got no topics, but you can come in if you have, if you need help with something, you can come in for that. I can answer questions. I get more depth and stuff, or we can just talk about whatever. It doesn't matter. We've had shows where we've talked about birds. So you never know what's going to happen. But I do encourage people, if you do have questions that you really want some extra help on, or just an extra explanation or whatever, bring it with you. It's pretty darn good. You will also get access to the community tab for the channel members, because I do post my swing trades there. So, you can get a chance to see what it is I am up to with that. All right. Jonathan is in saying, am I plus 50% late? No, you're probably about 50% early. Samantha says, happy Sunday, Goat Squad. And Kelly's in the house with a happy Sunday right back at ya. Love it. All right, Pierre says, good evening, everyone. Let there be a green week. Ooh, that's... Pierre, I think there's a chance. The week may start. We're going to start in the red tomorrow, but, one of the big issues that we have had in the market lately has been uncertainty. Well, that uncertainty is kind of gone a little bit. Now, there's still uncertainty, like, what will happen after we hit them back. Will Trump retaliate? But I think for at least now, we might have a breather between, at least the rest of this month, maybe. So let's see what happens. I think the Jackson Hole thing is this week as well. So that might cause a little bit of chaos on the market in the middle of the week. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't think it's going to be as bad as people think, but we'll see. All right. Jerry says tomorrow will be a crazy market. The morning, definitely. Let's see what happens in the afternoon. Well, we'll be here for a market close. Oh, and by the way, guys, today we got a trade war. So what else can we do? We're going to get our picks put together for Canadian Battleship, which we play tomorrow. It just so happens that we're going to play Battleship just as the trade war gets underway. Well, technically, really, guys, we kind of been in a trade war for a while. This is just a whole new level. Kelly says Latnik poison pilled it. Yeah. Well, that's a thing. I got two mindsets for the U.S. trying to slip in these new conditions at the very end. They either A, thought maybe Canada would notice and they could slip them through and then say, nah, you can't trade anymore with China. Or they put it in knowing it was going to blow things up. There is that possibility as well. So, I don't know. It's hard to figure out how anybody on the Trump administration thinks, that's for sure. King a Day is in the house with a hello, happy Sunday. Hey, King, how are you? A says hi, Candace. Well, hi, A. Scott Lutnick is a clown who thinks he's a savvy businessman. His claim to fame is that he was late going into the office on 9/11. Is that true? Was he I didn't know that. Oh boy. Well, I'm glad he was late. Yeah, I am. I really am. I don't want anyone to get hurt. Lisa says hi, everyone. Rory, afternoon. To add to the chaos, is Europe now dumping U.S. bonds? Ah, that's a good question. That's a good question. And it's funny. Donald Trump was talking about the bonds the other day, and he was like, they were like, how are you going to fix it? And he was like, well, maybe I'm a military. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Who are you going to send your military in to fix? Are you going to like send the military into all of Europe and say, you can't sell bonds? Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we're going to see how this ends up looking. Like it could, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of moving parts right now. So this is not like a summer. Usually the summers are pretty calm. So this year's been very, very different. Tony says, is it raining in Ottawa too? It rained a lot this morning. Right now, I have blue sky. I do have some clouds, and there is the potential. I think there's a potential for thunder showers. But for now, it's okay. Rory says, I'm hoping the tangerine toddler loses either the House or the Senate in November. I got the... I guess I got to word this carefully. If it's a fair election, he'll probably lose both. If it's a fair election. So I'll just say that the person who cries wolf the most is probably the one most likely to maybe use a wolf. I'm just saying. I don't have any proof. It's 100% speculation. But I'll just say, if it's fair, I believe he'd lose both houses. All right. A says, do you see Americans or Canadian stocks being affected more in the coming weeks? What industries stocks will fall on the TSX markets? All right, that's a good question. So the market's been acting kind of strange. So right now, first of all, most of our consumer staples, utilities, the telecoms, they should be mostly unaffected by this trade thing. It has nothing to do with them. Obviously, some industries will certainly have some issues, but for the most part, like I said, it's not a big this new tariff. It's not like it's a widespread tariff across everything. It's about 5% of what we export. So I don't think it's going to impact things. I think more of the impact that we see tomorrow is going to be fear-based, opposed, because it's kind of one of those things where I think people are a little bit afraid. And I've heard people online saying, "Oh my God, it's going to be worse than Liberation Day." Yeah, Liberation Day. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not even going to be remotely that bad. In the U.S. market, I don't think the U.S. market's going to care. I think the U.S. market will just be as normal. So anything we see is going to be isolated in the Canadian market. And our market has been very resilient. And I think we're going to see that resilience start to show up tomorrow. So like I said, I think red in the morning. It will stabilize. It might finish red overall, but I think there will be some recovery, I think, before the day is out. So we could be back in the green as early as Tuesday. So we'll see. We'll take a look tomorrow, of course. Tony, is conversational and deep, but I think that if you think that these tariffs are going to hurt us overall, then you just don't believe in Canada. No, I want to be clear. I think these tariffs are going to hurt specific industries big time. So yeah, they're going to hurt Canada. Canada will be hurt. Absolutely. No, I'm not arguing about that. I'm just saying when you look at it from the broad context of the market, it's 5%, and a lot of it's already priced in. So it's not going to cause as much of an impact on the market. Now, that doesn't mean it's not going to cause a whole bunch of impact on people in industries, people who get laid off, people who have to pay more. I mean, Canadians are paying more than they can handle already. And, once these new tariffs come in, and I don't know what exactly they're going to be. Well, I mean, we got a general idea what they're going to be on things like, electronics. I don't like that. I don't like that because, I don't want to see when it finally comes time for me to get a new phone, I don't want to have to pay a whole bunch more for a phone or for a computer or for something like that. So, I'm glad everything is in good shape right now, and I'll ride it out. But, there will be people that are going to be impacted 100%, Tony. 100%. King of Day, sometimes I wonder how the economists and advisors under the Trump administration operate. Are they really this incompetent or just trying to keep their job? I think about this a lot. Sometimes I think they're afraid because anytime I've noticed this, like if you're in the Trump administration and you sort of go against the narrative, Trump goes against you. Next thing you know, you're being called some nasty names in a Truth Social post, and you might end up getting thrown out of his administration, and then down the road, because he holds a grudge, you might have the FBI investigating you for some kind of crimes that Trump decided that you committed. So I think people are, and I understand that people are afraid. That's why I think if you're going to do something with them, you're going to have to safety in numbers. I think that's pretty much the only way. But I don't see anything happening. I really don't see. I really don't see the people coming together. So the Republicans or whoever to do anything about him. I think he provided his health holds in there. I think he'll probably end up making it to the end of his term. Rory, for the near term, I'm holding all covered call funds as a hold. I'm going to add to ZDY, ZDV, or XEI, XEQ when all the slide begins, if it begins. Yeah, that makes sense. Up here, am so glad I kept faith in MSTE. Anyway, what are your thoughts on ORBYX? It looks volatile so far. It takes 5% of my growth portfolio. All right, I got to take a look. I'm not 100% sure what you're asking me about. I saw at the beginning, I was like, oh, ORBX. And then I was like, no, it's ORBYX. I'm not sure what that one is. Let's take a gander. ORBYX. Let's see, and let's put the X in there. ORB. I think you might have mistyped something there. I'm not seeing it up here. Try typing it again. Tell me if that's correct, because I'm not seeing ORBYX. So I don't know if that's a typo on your side or if it's just TMX acting up. I won't go hunting for it right away till you let me know what it is. Cat, let's see. He didn't go into these negotiations with good intentions. He tried to manipulate at the last minute and thought Canada would capitulate. Joke's on him. Yeah, no, I'm glad. Like, I've been saying this, that I would rather no deal than a real bad deal. And I'm okay with that. And I know that it's going to hurt people. It's going to hurt Canadians, unfortunately. But you know what? I'm not the one doing the hurting. It's, it is the United States doing this to us. And, you would never, if somebody had told me, even 5 years ago, if somebody told me the U.S. was going to do this to Canada, I would not have believed him. All right, Trump has until September 8th to taco. Yeah. I mean, and he might. We never know. It's actually kind of funny, he hasn't been super vocal over the weekend about this. I think he's made one comment, but I don't think he's really said too much over the weekend. So let's see what happens. Scott, I think gold and Bitcoin will be up as the USD will be sliding. Yeah, and here's the thing. So looking at Bitcoin, I was charting it yesterday, and because I noticed that we got ourselves a little bit of a pattern here, and I think it's going to break up. So if it breaks up, it should get itself up to pretty much 80,000. if it breaks up. But you know, look, we already got. Look at this; it's already moved up. Like it was somewhere around here this morning or yesterday. It was somewhere's in here. Um, and look, yeah, it's already starting to move to the upside. So let's see. Maybe by the end of the show, maybe it'll pop up here for us. That'd be kind of cool. It may not, but I'd like it if it did. Rory, prices will be interesting in a couple of hours. Yes. Now keep in mind, whatever happens with oil, there'll be no impact. There should be no impact from these tariffs on the price of oil. So oil, I think oil will probably, like we haven't really had anything in the Gulf, in the Strait, in the Strait of Hormuz happen over the weekend. But I still think oil's going to slowly creep up. I think it'll be up a tiny bit, not a lot, but I think it'll be in the green. Materials, this will be interesting. So the big impact to materials, are we going to see that tomorrow? Like we could see an impact on materials. I think gold though will be in the green tomorrow. So, yeah, we'll see that. I mean, obviously once we get 6 o'clock, so another hour and hour and a half, or we'll be able to take a look at that. All right, Kelly says, interesting to see the Canadian take on the trade negotiations versus the American one. It's like they live in an information vacuum. I know. I know. It's like, All right. Kat says, Manitoba's Premier Wob had a response to Trump. Not only was it on point, but pretty funny. I watched that. I did watch his press conference. He at one point he actually did a small Trump impersonation in there. I thought that was funny. No, I mean he was right on. He was right on task. He hit everything out of the park. He. I think out of all the premiers, he had probably the wittiest. So I did enjoy his speech on it. Samantha says, "Is Willow under your desk knocking for treats?" Willow? No one's under my desk. You mean Winter, right? Actually, like, there's none of the cats came in my room before. So if when I go into the studio, if there's no cats in it, I close the door. If there's a cat in it, then I leave the door open a little bit so that the cat can leave during the show, because you never know, they might need to. But yeah, today I'm completely cat free in here. Elaine said, hey all. Well, hey Elaine, how are you? Vic, good on Carney for standing up and not acquiescing to a bully deal. I agree. Scott says it's time to move to Uruguay. I don't even know. You know what? I don't know what it's like in Europe. I don't know a lot about Uruguay. I've heard the country, but hopefully it's nice there, Scott. Niece says good evening. Hey niece, how are you? I hope you're having a good night over there in Sweden. Let's see. Ian says, can Congress shut down the tariffs? Will we get closer to normal relations after the November elections? I think Congress. So if we end up with a blue house, if we end up with a blue House and Senate, I definitely think they'll impeach him. Impeachment doesn't remove you, but I certainly think there'll be articles of impeachment that'll get leveled against him. I think they will try to flex a lot more because, Congress has more power than what we've been seeing. Like the current Congress kind of just doesn't do anything. They just let him get away with whatever he's doing. So, will they shut down the tariffs though? I don't know so much. That might be a court thing. I wouldn't be surprised down the road if this group of tariffs gets kiboshed by the Supreme Court. That's a possibility. But what I don't like about that is that all of the Americans who paid that extra money, who basically, because the importer pays the tariff, but they pass those prices on, and then if the court strikes down a tariff, then, the government has to give the money back to those companies the importers. The importers don't give you money back, though. They just keep that for themselves. So that's the thing. The end American who buys that product that's been tariffed, they're just out that money. No matter what happens, even if it's an illegal tariff, they end up being out that money. Scott, we got 2 Scotts. Great Scott. Holy cow. Scott says, I'm beginning to seriously think that Trump is senile. He forgets that what he's saying mid-sentence more and more. Yeah. I've really noticed a mental decline in Trump over the last, just compare him to this term to his first term. It's night and day. And I've noticed a few times, and I don't have an exact example, but I've noticed a few times that he will start a sentence, and the first half of the sentence is about A, but he ends the sentence talking about something completely different, and there's no logical, transition from A to B in that sentence. And I'm looking at that, and I'm like, gosh, is this that weird Trump logic he keeps talking about? Because that doesn't make sense. And I've noticed this more and more. So, I'm certainly concerned that, obviously, if you have a mentally deteriorating president, that could be dangerous, especially if you have one that has a lot of the features that Trump has. Trump tends to be very egocentric. If you insult him, he holds a grudge, like a long time grudge. And he tends to be impulsive. So those are combinations that do worry me a little bit. Now, I think when it comes to the world, even Iran, I think they all kind of realize that the person who's running the ship over there in the United States is perhaps not making the right decisions. And I'm hoping Iran is sort of sitting back and saying, okay, well, we can wait him out. And that's kind of what I think they're doing with the Strait of Hormuz. But, I'm thinking other countries, like some of the bigger countries, I think like Russia, China, if anything, it's just like, yeah, let's just humor him until he's done. Because, yeah, he could do some serious damage as president. And, look at what he's done to the Canada-U.S. relationship. That's a relationship that will never be the way it was before his presidency. Because when he's gone, it's not like we're just going to say, okay, everything's all great. We're going right back to the way it was. We're never doing that. We've learned a lesson. And it was a lesson we needed to learn. In all fairness, we should have been diversifying our trade long, like we should have been doing this in the 70s and 80s. It's one of these things that we should have been doing already. All right. Eved says, good afternoon, everyone. Hey, welcome back. Roku says, Scott, I will drop a YouTube link in Discord. All right. Ian says, one thing is for sure, he's going to say the election was rigged. He was saying it was rigged in the 2026 rigged in 2016 until he won. Yeah, I think that's a possibility. It seems to me like he's already sort of setting it up that, that he thinks that the Democrats are trying to steal the midterms. It's not the Democrats, Donald. It's not the Democrats trying to steal it. It's the fact that people don't like you that much. Your popularity is tanking it all on their own. And I think when he is finally finished, I think the Republicans are going to have a big collective sigh of relief because they've got a lot of damage control to do. And they're going to need to rehabilitate their image for a while. So, it's funny. It's funny, but it's not at the same time. All right, Pathfinder says, hey, Candace, I bought a few shares last week after you looked at. Thanks for having a look. What do you think of the run it's had? Of the run what's had? Like, all right. Did I miss your first comment? No, I don't think I did. I'm not sure which one you're talking about. Is it THX? Oh, looked at TH. All right. I thought you said thanks. I saw the THX and I was like, oh, the week after you looked at it, thanks. That's what I was thinking. Thanks. Boy. All right, let's take a look at THX again. Oh, boy. That's actually funny. All right, THX. Okay. Oh, yes, Thor. Good old Thor exploration. Here we go. Look at that. They had a pretty good Friday. They were up 4.511%. And here we go. So yeah, here we go. Now I look at this, and obviously anything in the materials suffered during this time, so that's perfectly normal. I'm not super concerned about that. That is a nice jump back up, though. Oh boy, whoa! They kind of made it to almost penny stock status again. Let's just take a quick gander again at their back end here. Let's go in here. All right, yeah, and here's I love the back end on Thor. So no debt. You got a return on equity of 55.53%. Normally when I see one that high, I look at the debt to see if the debt somehow has skewed it. Because sometimes the debt really high debt can sometimes inflate a return on equity. In this case, no debt. It's not inflating it. That's a straight up number. I like that. So yeah, Thor's looking pretty strong. If we get, well, not if, when we get a recovery within materials, I think Thor can do well. Absolutely. Now it's still a small stock, so I always will still say go into it with a little bit of caution. But yeah, I don't see anything in there that that looks out of place that would cause any big concern. Let's see. Do you believe THX has more runway ahead? Well, yeah, I think it can get back. I think it can move quite a bit, actually. All right, Rory just watched the Canadian Bacon movie documentary. Oh, yes, good old Canadian Bacon. And there was another documentary they did as well. It was back in the day. I think it was probably, I wouldn't say 70s. I'd say it was early 80s. And it was basically a documentary about Canadians secretly taking over the United States through the entertainment industry. And there's a document. They were making all these connections. They're like, and the leader of this is Lorne Green. When Canadians come into the U.S., they get a green card. Is this by coincidence? So that's the type of humor they were using. But it was actually pretty darn good. I thought it was fun. And what was really great at the time is I was watching it with my grandfather. And he was 80, a little over 80 at the time. And he didn't understand it was a parody. He thought it was real. And he was sitting there as we're watching this comedy, and he's like, Canada's not going to get away. My grandfather, though, I got to tell you, he'd never been to the United States in his entire life, but he was very, very pro-American. He was always like, he loved America a lot. And he was just like, Canada's not going to get away with this. And he was going on. It was funny. I was trying to explain to him, this is a comedy. It's not real. But he just kept going back to it. So I was just like, and then the next week, everybody he met, he was talking about what Canada was trying to do. And it's just like, oh no. Paul says, good afternoon, 20 minutes behind, 1.5x. Okay, Paul, you'll get caught up soon enough. Roku says, I dropped a vid in the random chat section on the Discord about questioning Trump's mental fitness. Nice. I'm kind of curious to know what that is. Actually, let's just take a look. We're not going to watch the video. I just want to see if it is. I did see a video like that earlier today, and I'm kind of curious. Could we be on the same wavelength? Now, the one I watched had a guy by the name of Sax who was in it. So, all right, let's just take a quick look over here. Over to the Discord. I probably need to refresh it. Oh, no, there we go. Random chat. That's it. Look, Sax. I watched that earlier, Roku. That's hilarious. That's great. It's actually pretty good. It is pretty good. I watched that quite literally. I watched that today when I was eating a peanut butter sandwich at lunch. Just to say. All right. Rory says, yes, we will play Anne Murray all day, every day on the U.S. border. Buffalo, New York, break out your earplugs. Yeah, that's it. We'll just get we'll get a giant speakers. We'll build a speaker wall, and we'll get the U.S. to pay for it, but don't worry about that. We'll build a speaker wall, and we will just broadcast Canadian music into the U.S. So, some Gordon Lightfoot, some Anne Murray, maybe a bit of Corey Hart if we're feeling a little rocky. We'll try to stick to the ones that are distinctively Canadian. So someone like Bryan Adams succeeded really well in the States, so we won't give them Bryan Adams. But, we give them groups like Frozen Ghost. Yeah, all kinds of fun stuff. That's a great idea, Rory. I like it. Ian says he usually tacos on his own deadlines. I don't know how he will react to someone else's deadline. That's true. That's true. Ian says, how will the Canadian banks react? So we should see some red in the banks in the morning. So if you're looking to buy the dip on something like on bank or one of the banks one of the actual banks, you might get an opportunity in the morning to get a pretty good deal. So I do think banks will probably take it a little bit harder than most of the other sectors. But I think we will definitely see a bit of a shakeup in the banks in the morning, but they will recover. I think, I'm seeing most of the damage done in the morning and then a slow recovery through the day, but no, I don't think it'll be enough to get us out of the red by the end of the day. But you never know. The market, I keep underestimating the Canadian market. The Canadian market always holds up better than I think it should over and over again. So for that reason, there is that possibility, if I'm wrong, that we do get back into the green by the end of the day, but we'll see. All right, APTX dividend is 0.06 quarterly. Nice. Of course, Apotex is the company that is doing the generic version of Ozempic, and there's a lot of stuff going on in healthcare. So guys, by the way, today, the video I scripted today was a deep dive on HHL. So that's the Harvest Healthcare Leaders. So that's coming up because, last week, of course, we had that huge announcement from, oh my God, Moderna and Merck working together. So we had that huge announcement. They have a vaccine against skin cancer. Now, it's not like you can take it and you will never get skin cancer. So I don't know fully, but they had positive results. They had some trials that came back with some really good results. That was enough to triple the price of Moderna when that came out. In fact, here, I think I still have it over here. Let's just pull it up here. Moderna. Oh, no, I don't. But that's fine. I can pull it up. Let's pull it up. All right. Oh, I'm going to add them. I'll add them. So Moderna and Merck. Merck also, but Merck didn't jump as big as Moderna did. All right, here we go. Moderna. Yeah, so here's this jump. So they were sitting at about $63, and at one point they were up almost 180. So 175. Actually, here, let's see what the high part was here. 176.60 was the high. So they almost tripled. They didn't quite triple, but they almost did. That's really cool. And that's the excitement of this new drug. Well, vaccine. I think they're calling it a vaccine. So imagine, if you are a person who spends a lot of time in the sunlight, wouldn't it be nice to get a vaccine that would reduce your chances of getting skin cancer from it? So maybe this would be great for people who work outdoors, carpenters or, I don't know, crosswalk guards, people who work outdoors. Now I wouldn't need it because I'm indoors a lot, but yeah. All right, let's see here. Rory, funny the Alberta independence movement is still going ahead. It is, but you know what? I don't know. It's one of these things here. Now that Alberta's getting a pipeline, I think it's taken it may, like, the core movement is probably strong and like still gun ho to leave Canada, but I think it's that alone I think has probably killed a lot of public support. People who are not part of the movement. So even though even though they got the number of signatures I'm pretty sure they got the number of signatures to do a referendum. I don't think it'll pass. Now, obviously, if Carney were to sort of, I don't know, backpedal and not let and that pipeline didn't go ahead, that would piss off a lot of Albertans, and that would certainly help their cause a big time. All right, Tony says I think every province and territory needs a WOB. Yeah, he was actually. I mean, I loved his speech. I loved his speech. It was pretty good. And I know Doug Ford gave a speech as well. I mean, Doug's was just typical Doug. Being in your face, kind of like. And the one line with Doug's that I did like is he said that he said Donald Trump's the type of person that will, on day one he'll come and steal your lunch money, and then day two he'll come up and steal your toque, and then on day three he'll steal your sneakers. I just kind of liked that, but I still think Wob did better. If I was holding up one of them Olympic signs, Wob would get a 10. Doug Ford would probably get a 7. I'm just saying. All right. And guys, Mary's in the house. So Mary, of course, is our official captain of the like button. So if you've not hit that like button, now's the time. Don't short the like button. That's what we say around here. So yeah, give it a good old click. Turn it blue. You know what? I'm going to give you guys a goal. I'm going to give you guys a crazy goal, because this has been a crazy weekend. So let me give you an unreasonable goal. Well, let's get to 100. But hold on. And you might be saying, Candace, there's 70 of us here. It's impossible. Let's get to 100 from not only, from the people who are here and the people watching in the replay. So we're going to pull you into this replay, folks. Let's get to 100 bare minimum, and quite literally, that's super easy. I would say almost all of our live streams, by the time they're done their run and the replay, they're normally up about 100 anyway. So, I think it's normal. I think that's going to happen. I think that would be fine. All right. And holy banana bread. All right, guys, we have some action. I just saw Wahipple in with 5 gifted Mountain Finance memberships. Holy banana bread. Look at that. And of course, that means we got our special goat for the fivers. Woohoo! Well, thank you very much. And let's see who got one. Who got one? We've got Robert, Monique, Cindy. Oh, Cindy's here all the time. Hey, Cindy. Hyacinth, and 53RG. Nice. Well, congratulations. You all are now proud, brand new members of the channel membership. And hopefully some of you guys will show up Tuesday night on our channel member stream. I can't wait. Awesome. Now, guys, this does do something. We now got 2 banked shows. Because anytime we hit even though we don't have the Financial Express running, if we hit the 4 subs or 4 gifted subs or 4 supers, if we hit that in a show, that throws one in the bank. So our bank is now at 2. So there we go. And that puts us in an interesting situation, guys, because tomorrow you guys could win a show to put into the bank, because we're playing Canadian Battleship. If that happens, well, we need 2 things to happen. That would have to happen, and if we did get 4 gifted subs tomorrow, or 4 supers, or a combination, we could see 3 in the bank. We've never hit 3 before. We've hit 2 once before. This is our second time hitting 2. But, anyway, thank you, Wahipple. That's kind of cool. I get excited over the chance of breaking records. I like breaking records. All right. Now, let's get back to Scott. Out of all the premiers, Danielle Smith was the most Trump apologetic. Um, yeah, yeah, I think so. I mean, she's also the one that I think Alberta is one of. I think there's two provinces that you can still buy American alcohol on the shelves. I believe Alberta's one of them. But I want to say I understand a little bit where she's coming from. I think part of it is that Alberta, because of the energy industry, is so economically tied to the U.S., probably more than any other part of Canada, that she's probably like, I really just don't want to, I don't want to piss him off. I think that's part of it. So I think, she's trying to sort of navigate, but, I'm just saying. I think that's what she's doing. I could be wrong. Maybe she just doesn't care. I honestly don't know. But that would be my best guess. All right. So Samantha says, sorry, Winter. There is some knocking off and on today. Maybe your knee. It probably, whoa, it might have been my knee. Oh, there we go. Sorry. I almost knocked a lamp over on myself. That would have been really funny because it's a big lamp, like quite literally. Here, let me show you. So yeah, it was probably me. I will try to keep my legs from moving around too much. A says, how will the events impact U.S. standing as reserve currency? Got a few more years or no impact? So obviously the tariff stuff will have no impact on that. But looking at the bonds, I think the bond sell-off, it's significant, but I also think it is overblown a little bit at the same time. And is it going to really impact the U.S. standing as reserve currency? I don't think so right yet. I think that's still fine, but I still think, it's something we need to be paying attention to on the long term. But I don't know. I don't think there's enough to really be super worried about it yet. Not to say that won't happen in the future. All right, now, holy banana bread. We've got another gift. Well, not a gifted sub. We got a new channel member, Stephen Sheffield. Well, technically not a new channel member. This is his 7th month in total. But Stephen has re-signed up to the channel membership, has been a member for 7 months, and that's Goat Squad territory as well. Stephen, do you like Indiana Jones? There we go. So that's our Indiana Jones goat. But anyway, thank you, Stephen, for rejoining the channel membership. Paul says 18 degrees Celsius on the West Coast. Oh, that's actually kind of nice. Unless, of course, you really like the heat. And Paul says, let Bitcoin go over 80K. Yeah, by the way, let's take a look again. I do have that chart. We do have the chart. I'm seeing if we get some movement to the upside on here. It's moving a little bit. Let me just make it bigger here. Let me make it bigger so you guys can sort of see it. There we go. So here's that movement that we're hoping to see. And we got a little bit. Well, we need a bit more. We need a bit more. Actually, this should technically be touching. There we go. All right. Rory says 27 degrees Celsius here. Okay, where are you at? I know where you are. I don't actually know what the temperature is here, guys. Let's find out. Oh my God. How long has it been since I've gone to the Weather Network on the air? I don't know, but right now it is 23. 20 fueled by cookies. Sure. Okay. 28 with the humididex. And it looks like we get the thunder is now looking like between 6 and 7. So maybe at the very end of the stream we might get a boomer or maybe one or two. Scott says the U.S. military is strong regarding bond yields. Yeah. Well, if the U.S. military was so strong, they're certainly not doing a good job. At least, well, it's the whole straight thing. I mean, they should never have even gotten involved there. I think part of it is if Trump didn't have such an easy, I think the fact that Trump had such an easy mission into Venezuela, I think that overinflated his confidence. That's why I think it's like, yeah, let's do Iran. I also believe I got no proof. This is entirely 100% speculation. I believe Israel's been wanting this to happen for a while, and I think they kind of saw he was overinflated, and I think they sort of looked at it and said, you know what, now's the time. Let's see if we can talk them into it, and yeah, they did. So that's what I think. Now I can be absolutely wrong. Like I said, it is 100% speculation. I have no proof, none whatsoever. Cat, he changes mid-sentence even more so when he's being asked a question about anything sketchy he's doing. It's classic chafe and redirect narcissistic behavior. Yeah, absolutely. He says how much damage that Trump has to make to satisfy him. I don't think you can satisfy him. That's the thing. I think he's in a state where nothing will really satisfy him, and you know, he's kind of like, when you start to deal with like megalomania, it's kind of one of these things where, even if he somehow had the power to conquer the earth, I still don't think he would be happy. So I think he's in a situation where there is no happiness. It's just, get the next fix of power, and it's and once again, it is kind of speculation. Like, I'm not a psychologist. I mean, I've studied a little bit of psychology, but I'm certainly not a psychologist. So I just think he's not the right person to be in the office. I think he's a bad fit, personally. All right, Niece says good night. Catch up later. Good night, Niece. Enjoy your Monday. A Wahibble, hey all, what's up? Like on my way in? Not too shabby, Wahipple, and thank you once again for dropping those gifted subs. Rory says Stompin' Tom. Oh yes, so that would be great. Scott says Hank Green had a pretty good video on the mRNA I was gonna say melania vaccine. Melanoma. Yeah, I did not get a chance to see that one yet. It is in my feed though, but that's the whole thing. And I've mentioned this before. mRNA. So, everybody becomes familiar with it. It stands for messenger ribonucleic acid, by the way, in case you're curious. Most of you aren't. mRNA sort of became front and center because that was the technology that was used for the COVID vaccine. But the thing is mRNA it's a brand new technology, and even then, one of the things is that, yes, it was used in a pinch to try to, and the COVID vaccine, it didn't really stop you from getting COVID, but it made it, it at least made it less severe if you did get it. So the whole idea of mRNA is that it's opened up a whole new field of potential treatments, potential vaccines and treatments for things like cancer. And this is kind of the beginning of some of that starting to come out. And positive trials, I'm all for it. It's like that. One of the things that everybody's been looking for is a cure to cancer. Is this going to cure cancer? No. It may help with one type of cancer. Keep in mind, there's a lot of other types of cancer, and not, all cancers are not the same. You'll never have a one-shot treatment for all cancer. It's not going to happen. But, this one here, it's a start. It's a start. Maybe we'll get to a point where we have different cancers or different vaccines that can help prevent a lot of different cancers. Maybe they'll get put together. I don't know. Maybe there'll be a master vaccine. Who knows? I don't know where it's going. But it is positive, and, and I know there'll be some of you that were like, I don't want that in me. Nope. And that's fine. That should be your right. But, like I said, if you are worried because you do, you are in a high risk category for like skin cancer. So somebody who works outside, maybe, a professional lifeguard. That would be a rough job when it comes to, sunscreen. Now, mind you, here's the thing. Here's a thing too. Let's say this vaccine for melanoma works perfectly fine. That doesn't mean you won't need sunscreen, because you'll still burn. It just means that there's it'll give you a certain level of extra protection that you won't develop cancer. And it's not going to be 100%. There's still, you will still develop, there will still be cancers that develop. It's, It's just that it will prevent a lot. It'll reduce your chances big time. That's kind of the whole goal. And that, and that's good enough. That is good enough. We'll never be able to stop at 100%. And we kind of, it's one of these things, like if you were to the only way you could 100% stop cancer would also be bad for humans, because you would 100% stop genetic diversity. The whole process that led to evolution, you would be stopping that too. So, if the environment starts to change slowly over time and humans don't, that could be bad for humans. So, it's just a thought. Anyway, I'm on the verge of going off on a tangent. I'm going to pull myself back. Scott says, by the way, I have to watch Hank Green videos at 0.75 speed and Adriano videos at 1.25% speed. Yes. So Hank Green, he's got so much energy. He talks fast. Like, if somebody told me he was bitten by a radioactive chipmunk, I'd believe it. So he is a very fast talker. And yes, and Adriano's a slow talker, so I get it. I totally get it. All right, Lisa is in the house. I wish pharmaceutical companies would stop calling every injection a vaccine. It's so misleading and shady. Okay, fair enough. And I will say that it may not have that. I think right now that's a word that's kind of been thrown at it. I don't know if that will be what is officially called when it does get developed. We'll see. But I think, there is, I will say this, after the whole situation with COVID, I think there's probably a little bit of bad baggage around the word vaccine right now for some people. Some people don't care. And yeah, maybe this is a thing. Like maybe you could call it a cancer inhibitor. Ooh, I like that. Do you want to get a cancer inhibitor shot? Sure. Yeah, I should copyright it so they have to give me $0.25 every time somebody gets a shot. That's what I should do. But I like that. Cancer inhibitor. That's what I will call it. If this thing comes to market, I'm going to call it the cancer inhibitor. Because I think I like that. Okay, let's see. Oh, Roku says they should trial the skin cancer inhibitor on those idiot influencers who promote unprotected sun tanning during peak sunshine. That would actually be a good group to trial it on. That's for sure. Yeah. Anybody who just works in the sun. I mean, because you got to look at it. Like a lot of these people, especially labor-intensive jobs, those guys are getting nothing but a lot of sun because obviously, if you're doing labor-intensive in the heat, you're probably other than safety gear, you're probably gonna not have a lot. Depending on what the job is. Obviously, if there's a safety concern, you might be covered up. But if there's no safety concern, you're probably not very covered up. Scott says, hey, Cindy got a membership. I know, I saw that. You'll have more likes than Wealthsimple entries, Candace. Ooh, that would be nice. But speaking of Wealthsimple, Rory, I need to spin. First of all, let me get into Wealthsimple. Oh, see, that's not going to work. There we go. Wealthsimple. All right, we're heading in. Let's go big for this. Let's go big. So Wealthsimple, of course, you can spin your coin every day to get some bonus entries into their contest. So they're monthly millionaire. And this Thursday, they're giving away $1 million. So I want more entries. I want to increase my chances. I'm still, oh no. Oh dear. We had a bit of a booby trap. My boob hit the coin as I was getting it ready. So 54. Oh, all right. That's the first time my boob has spun the coin, by the way. So here we go. That was embarrassing. Anyway, guys, with these entries, and here, I'm going to drop something into the chat here. Here we go. Wealthsimple. Perfect. So this here is my affiliate link to Wealthsimple. So if you're not on Wealthsimple yet, what are you waiting for? Click on this link, head on over. Once you're in there and you fund your account $100, that's basically what you would use to invest with, right? So, if you're going to use it for investing, that's a pretty easy ask from Wealthsimple, but they'll give you 25 bonus dollars, real dollars, and they'll also throw $25 at the channel, so it's a win-win, and you'll be able to, you'll be able to take part in the monthly millionaire. And they're going to be doing this through September as well, so we know that much for sure. We don't know anything about beyond September, how long they plan to keep this contest going. But here's the reality. There's less people entered in the monthly millionaire than in 649. So you have a better chance of winning $1 million here than you have over there. So definitely jump on in. I think it makes sense. Even if you already have a broker and you're happy with it, you could have multiple brokers. There's nothing wrong with that. And Wealthsimple is a really easy broker, especially for new folks. It's easy to use. It has no commissions. So I think it's a good move. And hey, it's got free money. So you gotta like that. All right. Wahipple says, oh yeah, Scruffy's ear does look like an eye patch. Wait a minute, wasn't that comment from the last stream? But yeah, that was funny. Did you spin the coin? I didn't, my boob did. Scott says, thanks for the reminder to spin. LOL, my AIWA cassette player is on the stream. Yes. Actually, there's a picture of Paul's player. Let's go take a look at his player. There's a picture over here on the Discord. Let's see here. Where did he put it, though? That's the question. I did see it earlier today. I feel like... Oh, boy. There's a lot of categories over here on the Discord. He might have put it under music. Yes, there we are. Here we are. So, oh my gosh. Yeah, look at this. Let's see if I can pull it up. Okay. There's the AWA right there. Nice. And, oh, you got a cassette here. Wait a minute. Is that like, that's Quiet Riot, I think. Yeah, Quiet Riot, Mental Health. All right. Did you already own? I assume you already owned that. You didn't get, it's not like, hey, we'll throw in a Quiet Riot for you. Rory says, can you spin on Sundays? Yes. Yes, you can. Scott, 186 entries. Nice. I guess so. Every day. All right. Should we close the Strait of our Moose as proud Canadians? Oh, that's hilarious. The Strait of our Moose. That's really, Michael, that's actually quite amusing. Also, you get the laughing goat. There's no way around it. That was quite funny. I gotta say, I like that one. All right. That was also very clever. Paul says, Candace the DJ. Yeah, I could do that. It's actually funny. When I was a teenager, I thought it would be one of the jobs I thought that would be fun to have. Well, I always wanted to be a writer, but I also thought that it'd be cool to host a top 40 countdown every week. So I kind of liked that idea. And you probably see that influence showing up sometimes when I'm doing countdown lists a little bit. But yeah, I would certainly like, I could do it. I could do it for sure. All right, Rory, just freeze the Strait of Hormuz like we do the hockey rinks, and that'll learn them. The only problem is that Ottawa will not like that idea, because then we would no longer have the longest skating rink in the world. Because I think that thing is longer than the Rideau Canal. Kat says, I think Trump is more like day 1 steals your lunchbox, waits a bit, and day 5 comes to you and says, I see you don't have a lunchbox. Have I got a deal for you? Yeah, he'll sell you a golden lunchbox with Trump on it for an unreasonable amount of money. That's pretty much, yeah, I could see that. All right, and Hiep is in the house with a box. Paul, got 9, actually, well, Hiep was already here. Got 98 on my Wealthsimple spin. Funny, though, re-meant. The bell at 4:55 today. There's no bell today. It's Sunday. It's Sunday. There's still coffee, though. Thought Rory meant spin records on the stream. I guess not with copyright. Yes. Even like one of the after hours, we went onto YouTube for a minute. We looked at a couple small videos, just little pieces. We didn't even like quite literally like I don't think we were on any one of them more than a minute. And I got hit with copyright claims left, right, and center on that video. So I was just like, seriously? Let's see. Ian says, what will happen to the Canadian stock market if the USA raises interest rates? What are the odds that happens this year? Also, will Canada raise rates? Okay, so right now the US market has kind of priced in one interest rate hike by the end of the year for the US. We don't have to raise our rates because of that. I think we're still fine. We're still within the buffer. Now, obviously, if the U.S. were to go crazy and start raising their rates a lot, that might get outside of the buffer. But there's still a lot of other factors that are going on, too. Like, one thing that has been interesting is Canada's been picking up. We've been picking up a lot more foreign investment than normal. And part of it is because we're a much more stable country than the United States. So I'm not saying the U.S. is not getting foreign investment, but I think people are being a little bit more choosy, a little bit more choosy. Like, I think the best thing that could happen to the United States would be a new president down the road there. So, and I'll be happy to see. Like, I mean, I loved the relationship that we had with the United States. I thought it was a great relationship. I loved Americans. I was okay with that. Because you can still be distinctively Canadian and still like the American culture. But this here, and I also, I'm very careful. I'm very careful to sort of say that I can't blame America for what he's doing. Like, even, yeah, I mean, you could say, well, yeah, but they voted him in. They did, but he hasn't really been. I don't think they knew what they were biting off. They should have. I think they made a mistake. I think they definitely made a mistake. They should have known what they were getting into, but soon enough this will be history. And hopefully we never have another president like this down there, and hopefully we can start repairing that relationship. I mean, it'll never be the same, but it can still be a good relationship down the road. Rory says, Wealthsimple spin. And let's see. Mary says, I was listening to an American podcast about tariffs today, and they referred to Carney as the George Clooney of finance. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, it's actually funny. So I had a lot of stuff in my stream for all about, of course, the tariffs and this meeting. And I clicked on one, and it turned out to be a very interesting site. I won't say who it was. I'm just going to say they had a theory. I don't believe it or subscribe to it at all. I think that they were maybe a little bit really far right. I think they were really far right. And now, because I clicked on this video, I'm probably going to get some really far right stuff in my feed for the next little while. But their assertion was that Carney sabotaged the deal on his own because he wanted to use it to leverage Canadian sympathy to win some by-elections. And I was just like, oh my God. One, if they understood Canadian politics and the way the polls are coming in right now, there's no need for him to do that. Like, right now, the Liberals are still riding as strong. Carney's still pretty popular. I think he'll have no problems. So I was just like, I just couldn't believe somebody said that. I was just like, really? Really? But, what can I say? Scott, a WTF was that supposed to mean? I have no clue what you're asking about. All right. Let's see. Bitcoin is now 2.5% higher than 3 months ago. Yeah. I mean, look at this. Bitcoin's been doing. Oops. We got to go back. Bitcoin has been. Oh, look at this. It has grown a little bit. It's slowly rising. Come on, Bitcoin, rise to the occasion. Keep going. Maybe if we had like a little snake flute that we could play to make it slither up a bit higher. I don't know. I'll take anything at the moment just to see it happen. All right, he's cool, I guess, for finance. Low bar. I know how to spell melanoma. That was on purpose. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay, all right. I understand now. Clive says, hiya. U.S. politics, great entertainment. Their news sources are hilarious. Too bad whatever is said seems to control the markets. I know. I know. Well, I mean, yeah, eventually this is all going to be behind us. I can't wait for that. But it's like, if I was given a choice between this administration and this trade war and another COVID, I don't know. I don't know which one I would choose because I think people are getting hurt with both. So, oh God. All right. I think Trump is angry at all the people who hate him. So he keeps wrecking stuff. He knows he's not popular in Canada. Well, that's true. Canadian politics are good at photo ops, getting things done, not so much. Well, Paul, you gotta, in all fairness, you know, the government under Carney has done more than the government under Trudeau. So yeah, I mean, yes, things are not, we don't have a new pipeline yet, but the groundwork is set for it. For example, that's just one thing. So yeah, and I think this pressure. This is something I was talking to Jill earlier about. I was thinking that now that any kind of idea, any sense of a trade deal is pretty much out the window for now. That puts more pressure on the government to get stuff done, to continue to diversify. So, I think Carney's going to have to be a pretty busy beaver for sure. All right, you're only 3 minutes behind. Okay. Even the COVID shot was a therapeutic at the absolute best, and I'm even skeptical of that. I'm sick of a. Let's see. All right. I'm trying to find where this cut in. Let's see. I can't stand all the dishonesty surrounding pharmaceuticals. Why can't they just be honest? Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, you know, and this is probably something you don't want to hear, Lisa, and I apologize ahead of time. But I think the big thing when it comes to at least this one instance, just the COVID shot, is they were rushed. And I think half the time they weren't even 100% sure what was going to go on. So, yeah, in this case here, I think it was, I don't know if it was that they were trying to be dishonest. I think it was a situation where they just had no clue and they were just hoping for the best to try to get it out there. Was it safe? It appeared to be. I know that some people did have a bad reaction, but keep in mind, it doesn't matter what a vaccine is, or medication for that matter. Some people have issues. Some people will always have issues. I don't think you can make any kind of medication that there's not some people that are going to have some really bad effects from it, unfortunately. So I think, I think that there was dishonesty around, well, was the dishonesty, here's the question, was the dishonesty that you're perceiving, was it because they were unsure and they didn't want people to feel that? Like, if you want people to take something, you want to come out confident. And I think that might have been part of what we were seeing. So I think there was still kind of like, yeah, we have some initial trials, but we would have liked to have had more time to do this. And that's what I think we're seeing. That's what I think. Now, I could be wrong, and I'm perfectly okay with that. Maybe they were just lying through their teeth. But I think there was any dishonesty we're seeing was more or less because they just wanted to present that assuredness. They wanted people to feel safe. And, I'm not a fan of that. I will say that right now. Like, for example, when I talk to you guys about a leveraged ETF, I want you to be aware that leverage cuts in both directions, not just one. There are, I have seen people who have presented, I have seen videos on leveraged ETFs where they just talk about, oh yeah, the leverage will enhance everything for you. It's great. And they never mention that, it's going to impact, it's going to cause you to fall further when it's falling. So, I think it's always good to give people all the information, personally. Scott says, I don't think it's the pharma companies. I think it's the media dumbing stuff down. There's always that too. There's like everybody got their, and plus the politicians. Now the politicians, yeah, dishonesty, that's kind of the normal part. you have to, many times with politicians, you kind of have to read between the lines. Because they come up with some party lines and they just stick to them. So yeah, there was definitely dishonesty in there when you start looking at the third parties. All right, when do we see oil? 6 o'clock. So about 40 minutes, 41 minutes from now. Mainstream media sucks. Propaganda machines is more like it. Yeah, that's the thing. You need to know, like, and I always say this, I like to look at both right and left media. Because, I know that the right is going to have their right propaganda, the left's going to have their left propaganda. And what I always look for, and this is going to sound like a commercial for Ground News, it's not. I like to look and see what they're both reporting. If both left and right are reporting something, chances are it's true. Chances are those are the ones I can say, okay, these ones I can take. These ones are probably true. And then when you get two completely different reporting on the same event, then the truth is somewhere in the middle. It's obviously both are wrong. I'm going to say this right now. Both will be wrong in those situations, and the truth is somewhere in the middle. And that's kind of one of those things where sometimes you have to look at different media sources to try to figure out where the truth actually does lie. Sometimes you have to look at, sometimes even foreign media that have no skin in the game, because they're just like, oh yeah, here's what happened. So sometimes you have to really dig. It sucks. Like, it shouldn't be that way. And I don't think it was that way back in the day, or maybe it was and we just couldn't see it. But nonetheless, I think, something like Ground News, I think what they do is pretty good, actually. And I got no affiliate leaks or anything for Ground News, guys. I'm just saying, I think what they do is good. I don't know if their platform is the best. I haven't really, used it, but I like the idea of what they're doing. And I think you can do it yourself without paying somebody, however much a month. It's just a matter of, make sure you look at both sides. Look at both sides. And then figure out what the truth is. Make up your mind on where it is, use logic. To me, that's the best way to go. Rory says as soon as Jed shoots at it, yep, and up from the ground came a bubbling crude. Paul, I bought the AIWA cassette player on eBay from a seller in Whitby, Ontario. Nice. Oh. 189 plus tax, or about 211. That's pretty cool. I mean, if it works. Oh, I just noticed Bitcoin slowly starting to move. Can we get our break? Can we get our breakout, guys? Let's see. Scott, it'll cost an extra 50% to build a cement pond down south. It will. Well, if they use Canadian cement, it sure will. I'm sure that, I mean, obviously, the United States probably makes their own cement too. But, yeah. Well, do you think the Bank of Canada interest rates will hold or go down due to the trade war? Time to go variable or fixed? I'm still adamant that our current, was it 2.25? I don't think it's changing this year. I think they're still going to hold, and and I think it's going to be the same thing. They're going to come out and basically say, we're still evaluating, we're still watching, we're certainly concerned. That's kind of what old Tiffy is going to be saying for us. All right, Paul says audio cutting in and out. Oh, well, that's not good. That's not good. Yeah, if anybody else is getting any kind of weirdness, let me know. If it's just one person, then it's probably that one person. But if there's actually an issue on my audio side, then usually everybody's like, yep, it's a problem. All right, Rory says, will the Trump Tower in downtown Toronto be turned into low-income housing? Maybe. That'd be kind of funny. Scott says, audio fine here, a side effect of running fast to catch up. You know what, Paul, if you're still having that issue, just refresh the stream. That usually will fix things. All right, Lisa says audio is fine on my end. Paul says audio just fine, then 1.5 catches up. It does stuff to audio until you switch back to 1x. Oh, okay, that's good to know. That's, I watch things on 1x. I just never change it. Trump name came off that building in 2017 for reasons. And that probably happened around the globe. It might have. It might have. That's for sure. So good. All right. On all cassette players, the belts do not last. They need to be changed before they turn to goo. Ooh. All right. A says, I feel Americans have superiority. I mean, they've got a bigger economy. They've got more resources. They do have. I mean, they're in really good shape. Now, obviously, we can hurt them really bad if we want to. Like if we completely shut off our oil to them, that would really cause issues. But that's when the thought of them using the military to say, yeah, you can't do that to us, that becomes a bit of a possibility. Although, you got to look at it right now where their strategic reserves are low. Half of their tanks might run out of gas on the way to Manitoba. That'd be kind of funny. Scott says cassette belts are made of nanoparticles and turn to gray goo. Yes, the whole gray goo thing. Like us after 50. All right, go Bitcoin go, go strategy go MSTE go, the flywheel. And, Cindy's in the house. Cindy won a channel membership today. So, thank you so much, Wahipple. I'm out of town, so I will watch a bit later. Made my day. There you go, Wahipple. You're like the wish fairy or the gift-a-wish person. I don't know. Anyway, you made people's day. I didn't mean to call you a fairy, by the way. Paul says Candace takes a drink of coffee at 78,000. Oh. Nice. I guess I did. What impact do you see of this trade war on Canadian stocks? Okay, newbie. Once again, I think in the morning, that's where we're going to see the biggest impact. So when the market opens tomorrow, I am expecting to see I'm expecting to see the TSX down. It could be down as much as 1 to 1.5%. It could be. Now, I could be very wrong because I will say this. The market has been so much more resilient than we've been giving it credit for. But I think that'll be the worst part of it in the morning. I think during the day, I expect to see it starting to recover. I don't think we're going to get into the green by the end of the day, but I think we're going to get close. So that's kind of the way I'm seeing it. Hopefully I'm right. I like it when I am, but like I said, I don't have a crystal ball. This is just how I think it's going to happen. So we'll see tomorrow for sure. Paul, some people died on stage while getting the jab. On stage? What was it? Was it, I don't know what that was. Okay, I never heard about that. But keep in mind that you have to be careful about drawing conclusions. So for example, if somebody gets the jab and let's say they die a week later, doesn't mean the jab killed them. Because there's going to be people who don't get the jab, and guess what? They may die a week later too. So you want to be kind of careful. Like when you're looking, you have to sort of look at causation, and you have to look at the actual relationship, because there can be coincidences. So you want to be kind of careful, I think, when you come to generalizations. Now, did the jab kill anybody? It might have. It might have, absolutely. Like I said, there's always going to be a very small subset of the population that has a bad reaction to whether it be the jab, whether it be like an antibiotic, whether it be, heck, even some vitamins. I mean, now mind you, it doesn't, they do everything they can to sort of, like if you look, here's the best way to say it. Have you ever looked at those commercials on television, those ones with in the US where they talk about drugs and they read off a great big huge amount of possible side effects? Listen to it the next time you see it, and I will tell you, some of them actually have death as a side effect. I've seen death as a friggin' side effect. Now mind you, the odds of that, it might be 1 in 10 billion people maybe, or maybe it's 1 in 100 billion. But, there's always that chance. There is always that chance, for sure. You must not be following the Fauci investigation. He lied throughout the whole thing. No, I haven't really been paying a lot of attention to I'm kind of past Fauci right now. Um, but no, when it's all finished and done, I'll probably watch a documentary on it just to put it in. But yeah, no, there was definitely lying, Lisa. I'm not disputing that at all. Like a lot of times is that a lot of like even look at the masks. Initially, it's like okay, the masks will protect you. Oh, the masks won't protect you. Oh, the masks will protect you. So a lot of time people were trying to figure it out, and there wasn't enough data to know. And a lot of times it was more or less okay. Well, let's all mask up for now to see if it helps. Um, because it was kind of that situation where, well, with the masks, not with the vaccine, but with the masks, if you wore a mask, and let's say it turns out it didn't help, well, you're no worse off than if you did wear a mask. But if it does help, if it does keep some of the germs out, then that's not a bad thing, you know. And I will say, I liked masks for one part of the year, the winter. It's like if I had to go to the store during the mask up time during the winter, it was like, gosh, this sure keeps my face nice and warm. But then, of course, once you get into the store, then it's like, ah. All right. Clive says, what's the commercials in the U.S. with the side effects of medication? Yeah, exactly. That's what I was just saying. Exactly. COVID shot safer than injection of bleach, as suggested by someone with an orange spray on tan. Yes, I would rather have the COVID shot any day of the week than an injection of bleach. 100%. TT3 says, I got 3 jabs and survived. I did get the jab. I'm not going to say I didn't. No, I did. And it's funny, actually. One of the really funny things is I went to get the jab and the flu shot at the same time. And now I work at home, so I don't get exposed to a lot of people. But while I was over at the superstore getting, I don't even worry about the jab part, the flu shot part, I managed to catch the flu. So I was like, oh, what were the odds of that? Well, obviously, you go into the pharmacy, so that's an area where there's probably more people who might be sick. But yeah, I managed to catch the flu when I was getting the flu shot. I was like, I couldn't believe it. All right, Jonathan says, I wish the media could go back to reporting the news instead of the opinions. Yeah, I mean, yeah, facts matter. And, I think that's something we need to certainly go back to. Is more fact-based reporting. Or, I don't mind opinions, but label them as opinions, right? That's why there's opinion columns. Like the editor of a paper would always have an opinion on stuff, and they would write their opinion column on it. So yeah, that's where J. Jonah Jameson used to slam Spider-Man. Just saying. But yeah, use fact-based reporting. You can have a section for opinions, but just be able to back up what you're saying. If you're saying that, Joe Blow wronged Harvey Humpscruncher, well, okay, give us the proof. Let us know how this happened. All right, Scott says, I will say that I had the Moderna first and was fine. I had the Pfizer boost and felt like crap. I don't think the dosages were the same because of the efficacy of the two different ones. Yeah, so I got Moderna first, and I insisted on sticking to Moderna because I was just like, nope, I just, let my body, if my body's used to Moderna, let's just stick with that. Rory says, like Knowlton Nash in the old days. Michael says, oil was trading lower in the after hours Friday. That Jets was upside to 32 in AAL and Dow the best with UAL. The Jets has BA and other great companies. Yeah, so yeah, Jets, of course, being that airline ETF. It's a U.S. one, but it does look interesting for sure. And let's see, Clive says, I don't mind Fox Business Channel. Yeah, now there are some areas. So like when you look at Fox has leaned to the right. Absolutely. But when you start to step away from the news and you look at business, things like that, I think they're all fine with business. Like if you're looking at business or stock information, I think they're all pretty good. I think Fox Business, yeah, nothing wrong with that. It's just the regular news. That's where you have to sort of look at the leans. That's where your biases come more into play. But yeah, if you're looking at business news, you're pretty much safe. There's not much of a, I don't think there's much you can do to slant business news for the most part. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't think it's that bad with the business news. Ian says, gonna buy some more bank. Nice. Tomorrow. I should have spelled it cement pond. There we go. Cement pond. Oh, to get the accent. Maybe some youths as well. There is no Trump Tower in Toronto. There we go. I like that. The M is too close to the send button on my iPhone. Okay, fair enough. There was at one point. Oh, guys, we have got to we got to set up the Canadian battleship. We got that coming up tomorrow. All right, I'm gonna get caught up. As soon as I'm caught up, we're gonna do Canadian battleship. But here, let me bring it up. Let me actually bring it up first of all. Okay. All right, here we go. Canadian battleship. Where are you? You're over here. All right, here we go. Now I have not. Don't guys. I have to reset these. I'm going to do that tomorrow before we actually do the show. So for today, we're just going to be setting up the board, getting our shots. So for every one that we predict correct, and today, this is a good one today, guys, because obviously we've got some catalysts in the market that might help you figure out the stocks to pick. Now, don't start giving them to me yet. I will call for it. I want to get caught up first because right now I am a little behind, I think. Let's see. This comment right here, this Rory's comment, this was done at 5:24. So I'm about, I'm about 12 minutes behind. Okay. A says, I have a feeling U.S. multinationals will become more of a regional USA company slowly. Americans have superiority complex. They look down on non-Americans of the same race and try to dominate others. Yeah, you know what? And this is the whole thing. I'm kind of like, the United States have their whole melting pot, right? So you come into the United States, you have to melt in, you have to sort of absorb, become pure American per se. We have what's called a multicultural mosaic up here. So, we kind of embrace other cultures, and that's great. I'm okay with that. But here's the thing. You have right now you have no, let's just put aside what your goals is. Donald Trump wants I don't know, does he want a white America? Maybe. Well, here's the reality. America right now does not produce enough kids to support the fertility rate. So you need, I believe, 2.1 kids to be able to just keep your population steady. And I don't know what the number is for the United States. I know it's not up to 2.1. I know it's lower. So they're losing people if they don't allow immigration. Canada's in that same boat. We need to start bringing people in. When you start looking at the long-term forecast of world populations, eventually the entire world population is going to go down. But the countries that will succeed are those countries who can attract in. And you're going to see, let's look at, let's look at Nova Scotia for a second. So Nova Scotia, it's a province with a falling population. And the reason I want to look at them is that when you look at Halifax, so, we're talking super Halifax, so Halifax, Dartmouth, Bedford, Sackville, that whole big hub, population is growing like crazy. Well, why is that? Because people out in the rural parts of Nova Scotia have no choice but to go into the city because their populations, there's just no work. There's, the situation is not good for them and their populations are falling. So they have no choice but to go into the big city. So the big city is booming, the big city growing, but all of the others are sort of shrinking. Now put that on a world scale. And your super city, Halifax, is now the super city of Canada or the super city of the United States. And you've got a lot of people in places that, the populations, maybe they've got the people, but they just don't have the jobs. They don't have the, they have no real prospects. Well, what are you going to do? You want to immigrate to places that do have prospects. And we need the people because we need to maintain our population so that we can still pump out the same GDP so that we can still provide the same services, so that we can still live the same level of life, that we've all gotten used to. So you kind of need that influx of people. And for that reason, you have to sort of look at people's nationality and sort of say welcome, not, oh, I don't know if you guys are a bunch of criminals and drug lords. No, you got to say, hey, come on in. Let's let's learn from each other. Let's keep the country strong. Keep America great. Keep Canada great. I think that's perfectly fine. Okay, Paul says Bitcoin tapped 78 when then went back down. Yeah, I saw that. All right. TT3, we can do like Ukraine and get good at drones. Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, well, we can hold them off militarily. And even if it's just a matter, like quite literally, all we have to do is hold them off until, I can tell you right now, every country in the Commonwealth, they're not going to go to war against the United States, but they'll be supplying us with defensive weapons, 100%. But that's not going to happen. Honestly, I think if Donald Trump ever gave the order, I think if he stood up and said, you know what, Canada's become too much of an irritant, we need to move in their military. I think the U.S. military would say, no, we're not attacking Canada. I think they would. I really think they would draw a line at Canada. I think they would. Okay. A look at CCL to rebound from the lows. Hopefully. Let's see. Canadian drones blow stuff up and then say sorry. Oh, they do. We should put the word sorry on our drones, just on the body. Sorry as it comes in. Rory, should we do limit orders tonight to see what the market does in the morning? It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea because, because especially if it peaks down low first thing and then starts recovering, that might be your only chance of getting. And I think the way it works with most brokers is the orders that came in first are the ones that get processed first. So if you've got a limit order that you put in like tonight, there's chances you'll get processed right away. Whereas somebody who just logged on the second the market opens, they log in and they try to make a buy, sometimes that buy can take a while because they're processing all of the people who have limit orders and things like that first. Michael says bonds going to push tech down, then software overbought, that all type of data is getting worse. That points to a slow that could be pointing into a recession with no hiring and all you see is layoffs. Okay, well, the one thing though is once again the midterms. So if you look at history and midterms, so I don't think there's ever been a midterm year where the market hasn't gone bullish after the midterms. So I don't think we're going to see that yet. Now, I think 2027 is going to be one hell of a year, and maybe not in a good way, but this year I think we're fine. I think we're going to be fine. There'll be volatility all the way up to the midterms, but after the midterms, I think we're going to have. I think the remainder part of the year is going to be green. I think we'll be fine, and then, of course, the rules might change in January, but we'll have to see. Maybe January will be green, and then maybe it won't. Maybe February will be the bad month, but we'll figure that out as we get closer, of course. All right, Ian says people see a video and decide whether it's fake or not if it agrees with their opinion, not a scientific way of doing about things. Now, this is how I handle it. So if I watch a video and somebody makes a claim, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's fake news. Well, unless I 100% know it's fake news, I can't make that claim, right? I'll look it up. I'll look up whatever claim it is they're making. I'll do a little bit of research, and sometimes I'm wrong. I don't want to say most, but a lot of times they're wrong. Sometimes I'm wrong. I'm always willing to change my opinion. And it doesn't take much. All it takes is if you've got data, bring it to me. If my data's wrong and your data's right, I'm more than happy to change my opinion. TT3, the jab likely saved a lot of folks. Yeah. The big sea destroyed lots of small businesses. Um, okay. The big, I think, okay, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Fox is an entertainment channel. They can be, for sure. Paul, on my Android keyboard, the right next to send key, we have warships. We do. We do. I think superiority wise, I would say. Now, I know in the past, Canadian pilots were some of the best in the world. And it's not, it's for one simple reason. Canadians actually got more time training in the air. So obviously, more training means you're better. So Canadian pilots like jet fighter and such were really, really good. Now, I don't know if that has continued. So the data that I had heard about that was quite literally probably about 15 years old. So it might have changed. Just keep that in mind. But I still think Canadians have a lot of spirit, and I don't think anybody could walk in and just take us. We're not going to let that happen. We warship the mark. Oh boy. TT3, we have 25 warships. Oh right, we're talking about the battleship game. Here we go. Yeah, so we're gonna get our guesses in here soon. I'm almost caught up, so we'll get the guesses starting here pretty soon. Paul says Maxell brings back classic 1970s cassette tapes. 1970s ferric formula is custom made for vintage PC data drives. Oh, nice. Let's see. Immigration can be a benefit, but what's going on? What with immigration? Right now, at least in Canada, I mean, we still had. So the Trudeau government put all of that limitation on like students and foreign workers. So that's kind of still up in the air. But, I think as we continue with our infrastructure, if we can actually work not just on infrastructure for, supply chain, for critical minerals, we need to also work on, improving the whole situation with our healthcare system. I think once we can actually support a bigger population again, and it won't take that long if they do it right, you'll see immigration targets start to move back up again. And I'll be happy with that. I'm okay with it. I don't care where you come from. Like, I don't care if you were born in, if you were born in Moldova or wherever, or Lithuania. I don't care. Honestly, I don't care. Just be a good person. You be a good person, I'll like you. Simple as that. Scott, we have prospects. We need prospectors. And the cassette resurgence. Yeah, I think. Although you're the only, I will admit, Paul, you are the only person who talks about cassettes that I know of. There might be anybody else in here. Let's ask the question: is anybody else in here? Do you have a cassette player? Do you have an old cassette player? I don't have one anymore. Like I don't even have a CD player or a DVD player anymore. Clive says, you have to watch Lioness. Ukraine is a cross between WW1 and Star Wars. That's Lioness. It's a streaming show, I think. I believe it's on Paramount. Interesting. I have not watched it, but I know I've heard of it. TT3, a lot of farmers moving to Nova Scotia because farmland is affordable. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of really good farmland in the Annapolis Valley. Like really, really good. Like they grow a lot of apples, but the land is good. You could probably use it for a lot of different things. Rory, I know if Yellowstone erupts, the U.S. is done, but so is the Canadian grain belt. Okay. It depends, Rory. It depends. If we had a full-scale eruption, yeah, we're screwed. Like the world is screwed. It's not even just, I mean, you might be thinking of all the states that are destroyed just from the weight of the ash, but that's if we have a full-scale eruption. And plus, a full-scale eruption will destroy, it'll kind of kill the food chain across the world. It'll put so much stuff in the air that we'll probably have almost the equivalent of a nuclear winter for a bit. So, yeah, that would be really bad. But scientists are not 100% certain if we would get a full eruption. There is that potential where we could have a partial eruption. That is a possibility. Now, the reality is Hopefully it doesn't happen. I mean, it will happen eventually. It happens like what, every 600,000 years or so, and it's been what, 620,000 years. But there's more than, and that's not the only super volcano on the planet. Just in case you were curious, there's more. There are plenty of them. But hopefully none of them erupt in our lifetimes or our kids' lifetimes, or you know, or anytime soon at all. All right, Scott says no. We need grain for beer and whiskey. There we go. Have to go to Ukraine. And pretty easy to set up the bingo board this time. Lots of red. Well, if you guys go red, but what if you guys go all red and the market does make it back to the green tomorrow? And I don't think everything's going to be in the red. So, yeah, we'll find out. We're going to find out here in just a few minutes. All right, Rory, I just my luck. I'll pick all green for the bingo card. Paul, for immigrants, please learn English eventually. In customer service, it is really hard when they cannot speak English. That will become a moot point soon enough, Paul. And the reason I say that is I know, AI's taking jobs. Yes, they're going to take customer service jobs. Most companies, they tend to refer to a call center as a cost center because it costs them a lot of money. And once AI is able to get in there, but here's the beautiful thing about AI is as AI gets better, we put it in there, whatever language you speak, the AI is going to be able to speak to you perfectly in that language. So you won't have to call up and have to listen to somebody who has broken English, or their accent is just too heavy for that you have trouble, talking to them. And I've run into that before. But it's also, and it goes both ways, right? So if somebody calls up who doesn't have good English, like maybe English is your second language, but maybe you speak really good, Punjabi. Well, the AI would be able to speak perfect Punjabi to you. And I think that works great both ways. And I love the whole idea that I think we will have a mobile little AI that we'll start wearing. Maybe not so much on our phones. Maybe it'll be a little button so that we can talk to people in other languages. Basically, the universal translator from Star Trek. It's coming. And that's fantastic. The thing that scares me, though, is that it kind of kills my motivation to learn other languages. So I'm like, I don't need to ever learn another language or think about learning another language because I'm going to have my universal translator soon, so I don't need to. But honestly, I mean, I don't have the time to. I want to learn French. I just don't have the time. Like I know I've got enough that I think there's something to build off of. But what can I say? All right, Clive, bloody rabbits ate my tomatoes. Oh no! I love the rabbit though in there. Yeah, they do that. They do that for sure. I used to, when I stayed in Florida for the summer, there were wild rabbits that used to come around the yard all the time, and they were digging holes left, right, and center. You'd come out and you'd see a hole in the middle of the lawn. It was like, rabbit. It was just kind of crazy. Now, the rabbits we have around here, they don't seem to cause any problems. Like, I see the rabbit every so often, but for the most part, Scott says, I have a cassette deck. Old cassettes I recorded off the radio, 100-minute Sony metal tapes. I used to record CDs I borrowed off of friends. Oh, nice. Now you rarely use them. Let's see. I know the orange stone erupts daily. Yeah, it's a Yellowstone, but yeah. Sorry, Yellowstone. Old Faithful at Yellowstone. Oh boy. Although you might be making reference to Donald Trump erupting daily, and that might be all right. Never mind. I'll leave this alone. TT3. Canada could do well even if the volcanoes change the climate. We are energy rich and could power and light greenhouses. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Though we have to build them, right? Just keep that in mind. Paul says, I have a Panasonic 1993 boombox in the garage. Dual tape decks do not work. Just the radio. Not sure the CD player even works as it has a belt too. Oh, wow. Bismarcky, go all red. Let's go, Team Canada. I still need to speak a human. Oh, okay, fair enough. But we are getting to the point. I will say this, Clive, and you're not going to like this. We're getting to the point that it is hard to tell if you're talking to a human or not. And quite literally, a couple more generations of AI, and we may not be able to tell it all. Like right now, there are some telltale things. Like if I'm listening, so sometimes I'm listening to a YouTube video and I can tell that it's an AI voice I'm listening to. Sometimes I can't. There's been times I've watched a video and after 20 minutes of watching it, I'm like, wait a minute, is this AI? And then it's like, then I'm trying to figure it out. So, it's getting hard. As Scott says, I like Broken English by Marianne Faithfull. I still need to speak to a manager. Star Trek rocks. I tried learning another language. Shaka when the walls fell. Oh gosh. Star Trek old as me, same. Damak and Jalad at Tanagra. There we go. And guys, we're caught up. So let's do it. All right. So the way this works, most of you probably know, we're going to do Canadian Battleship. So tomorrow, I will hide our beaver, our canoe, our rowboat, and our lumberjack somewheres on this square. There will also be 5 whammies over here. Here's our whammies. So we got a bear trap, a badger, a polar bear, a Canadian goose, and the Ogopogo monster. So you want to avoid you want to avoid the whammies while trying to hit our boats. So if you come in and we start, all right, so basically how we do is we start with 15 shots. You get 15 shots no matter what. So if every guess you guys make today fails, you'll have 15 shots. You can do it in 15, but it would be very, very hard. So today we're going to give you the opportunity to win 25 shots. And this is how we do it. You name a stock, an ETF, and whether it's going to be up or down at market close tomorrow. And we'll put it on this board. Everyone that's right will give you a shot. So if you get all of them right, so let's say Rory comes in and says red everything and gives me 25 red, and then it is red everything, well then you'll have 25 shots plus 15, so you'd have 30 shots to hit these. Now you might think 30, well there's more than 30 squares, but here's the thing, once you hit the log, for example, you know that either here, here, or here, that limits it down to 3 spots of where that log can be. So it actually, you guys, last month, it looked, you guys did terrible. You guys did terrible, and then at the last minute, when you had a few shots left, you went on this big, long run and sunk everything. It was fantastic. It was great. So we're doing it again. So the way it's going to work is, first of all, let's not do 2 guesses. Let's just do 1 guess. So I will take your first guess. I won't take your second guess for now, just to give everybody a chance to get a guess. And once that guesses dry up, then I'll open it up for second guesses if you want second guesses. So, okay, there was a Muppet Star Trek episode. I heard that. All right, so the first thing we got is Paul saying MSTE up. All right, let's do it. Let me just put in MSTE on this one. So here we go, and I'm going to set up the board. So this is how I set up the board. I'll put MSTE at the bottom, and Paul is predicting it to go up. So there we go. So if MSTE is up tomorrow at close, then bang, boom, that's a shot. All right, now Paul also said Micron up, but Paul, only 1 guess for now. So save Micron. Maybe you can bring that one back here in a bit. All right, Samantha says HHL up. All right, let's put that in. So Harvest Healthcare Leaders. And Samantha is predicting that it will be up. Here we go. All right, I need more, folks. Rory, okay, CNR down. All right, let's put CNR and CNR. We'll put that here. And Rory is predicting it will be down. There we go. CNR down. Great. Oh, I probably need a few more of these greens. There we go. We'll put in a few more. There we go. All right. Bismarck, he says Biggie down. Interesting. All right. I wonder. I haven't looked at this. We'll look at this a little later. I'm kind of curious to know if Biggie's cutting dividends, if that actually drove a bunch of selling. I'm wondering if that happens. All right, we got Biggie down. All right, guys, keep them coming. Don't be shy. Just get your predictions in here. All right. Well, while I'm waiting for a prediction, no, here we go. Oh, Rory, that's your second prediction. All right, fine. I'll just open it up. All right. I'll go back and let's get Paul's MU. I'll put Paul's MU up. Trying to police predictions never works. We should know this. All right, we'll put in Paul's MU. There we go. And we'll put in up. Voila. All right, Biz. All right, Rory says ENCL up. Ooh, that's a good one, actually. I think that's a really good choice. All right, ENCL. And we get an up on that. All right. Keep them coming. TT3. FRU down. Okay. FRU. Let's get that on in here. FRU. And down. So there we go. No matter what oil does, it looks like we're going to get at least 1 point. Because, you know, FRU being, of course, a oil ETF, oil royalty. All right. Tony says, I suspect that tomorrow morning Trump will have the markets tilted to the windmill as usual. Yeah, that's probably a given. All right. Jonathan says Shopify down. Okay. That's a good choice. I like that one. All right. Let's get Shopify in here. And let's put in our arrow. So Shopify down. Perfect. Oh, this is easy. Okay. Rory says, wow, look at that. ENB down. Okay. All right. So ENB. All right. We're starting to see the red creep in now. We're starting to see that red creep in. All right. LUN, London. All right. So I think this is London Mining, I think. There we go. Let's put them in. Perfect. All right. London Mining up. All right. Keep it coming. Guys, we still need 15 more. So I'm just saying. We got lots of time. But I will point out, as we're doing this, and we'll just we're going to drop over here for a minute while I'm waiting for things. We're going to take a quick look. All right, Bitcoin. Oh, Bitcoin's still struggling here, but we now have some info. We have some data here. So oil. Whoops, what happened? Oh, I went. Here we go. So right now, oil started down a little bit. Small gap to the downside. Brent coming in 0.39 down. WTI coming in 0.32 down. There we go. We got oil down. Now gold is currently up, silver's up, copper's up, and platinum's up. So, you know, that might play a role. All right. Okay, let's projects. We'll close out of projects. I just need the. Okay, so all right, we got diversified royalty down. Okay, let's put that in. All right, DIV, and that is down. Okay, perfect. There we go. So we got your div, Scott. Awesome. So yeah, we need 14 more, guys. 14 more. Don't worry if you've already guessed. Just throw your guesses in. At this point, let's get it filled up. We'll get it filled up. But it's later than I thought. I mean, we've only got about 26 minutes left in the show, so we need to get this done. Oh, that is so good. Cameco up. Okay, I like that one. CCO. All right, good old Cameco. Cameco, are you gonna go up? Let's see here. All right, perfect. Cameco up. Loving it. Free space needs filled. Well, yeah, because it's not a free space. It's not bingo. It's just 25 guesses. It's in It's in a grid like bingo, but it's not bingo. It's not bingo. Paul says T as in TELUS down. Okay, so TELUS down. Let's put in TELUS. All right, here we go. And we'll put in the down. All right, there we go. Nice. All right, we need 12 more, guys. 12 more. And let's see here. As you guys do that, I'm going to, oh, you know what? Let's just move me right next to the main map. There we go. I can come over here and see. Ooh, get a little bit of more movement on the oil down. All right. Okay, but we got some more guesses here. THX up. Oh, I see what you did there. So Thor Exploration, THX. Isn't that also one of them like a Dolby type thing or something? THX. I feel like I've seen that at the beginning of movie theaters or movies. All right, let's see here. All right, THX up. S bucks down. All right. And let's put that in. All right, so S bucks and down. I'm going to need more down arrows. All right, Agnigo Eagle up, AEM. Okay. There we go. Now I got just enough to get me through. All right, AEM. And we're looking at an up. Okay. Oh, that could be a good guess. That could be a good guess. Samantha says Air Canada down. Okay, Air Canada. Will they be coming in for a landing tomorrow? Let's find out. All right, here we go. Air Canada. Oh, what happened there? Oh, I guess I killed that one. Let's try that one there. Okay, Air Canada down. Perfect. Utes down. All right. So we'll get Utes in here. And we've got a down for Utes. A lot of downs tomorrow. All right. Sue says XGD up. All right. XGD. Let's see if this gold ETF rises to the occasion. All right. And Paul says Tesla down. Interesting. That one could go either way, I think. All right, you said down. Okay. All right, Tesla down. Okay. We are let's see, Ichi down. Okay. Here we go, Ichi. And we will go down. All right, Ichi down. We got Ichi. Claudia says bank down. All right, let's get bank. Let's bring this over. Bank barely fits in the square. All right, but we got it. All right, bank down. Oh, that's some pretty good choices. Pathfinder says, while Dolby creates audio formats and codecs like Dolby Digital, THX acts as a certification standard that ensures gear plays back sound clearly. Thank you. That's what I was thinking. All right. Bismarcky says SoFi down. All right. Oh, we just need 2 more now. All right. So SoFi down. And AC down, DC up. Ha. I don't know. Do we have a DC? I don't know if that's I think you're just guessing. I think you're guessing. Oh, I did that one. All right. SAP down. All right. SAP. All right. Let's pull this all in. SAP down. All right. I need one final guess. So one final guess, and then we got our board all ready for tomorrow. Yeah, Scott says, I have no idea if DC is a thing. Yeah, it's a Districts of Columbia, or direct current, or don't count. You know, like when you screw up your first first ball, you throw it and you say, no, 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 that one doesn't count. It's a DC. It's a practice shot. It's a practice shot. Um, Wait a minute. Well, okay, if you want DC, let me just verify that it is something. If DC is something, we'll put DC down in for you. Let's see here. DC, Dundee Corporation. Okay. All right. Dundee Corporation. Sounds legit to me. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. And guys, that is our board. That's our board. We are ready for tomorrow. That's absolutely cool. All right. That DC. And that would have been a good one too, Jonathan. That would have been a good one. But we have our board. We have our board. I like it. This is, a lot of times I can look at the board, that when we set it up, and I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, okay, this is a good board, or this is a bad board. This could be a good board. This could be a good board. Scott, no, it was AC down. No, I got AC down. Right here. AC, wait a minute. Yeah, right over here. Yeah, AC down. DC. All right, Scott, if you don't want DC, I'll give it, you know what? All right, Scott. Since you don't want a DC, I'll give it to Jonathan. It's now XEQT down, right? Was that what? Yeah, that was it for Jonathan. Okay, there we go. Now we have our board. We have our board. It's all finalized. Fantastic. Whew. I like it. So guys, we got about 15 minutes left. If you have final questions, start rolling them in. I'm going to quickly take a look. I don't know how we did on the likes. I asked for 100. What the hell is wrong with me? Uh-oh. Where is my mouse? Oh, there we are. I was using the trackpad to go refresh the test box, and I accidentally scrolled it over to there. Oh, okay. Well, we got more than halfway. We got to 55. Now, I did say as well that 100 goal, basically 50 on the stream, and we're 55. And then now the people watching on the replay, it's less pressure. They need 45. And the beautiful thing is, if you're watching and it's like, oh, we're already at 100, then you don't even have to click. I mean, you can still click. I would appreciate it, but you don't have to. All right, Scott says Zoom URL down, universal resource locator. Love it. But up long term. There we go. No, we're good. We're good now. I like where we're at. I like where we're at. So that's kind of cool. Whew. Yeah, tomorrow. See, tomorrow's going to be one of these days. Like, I think we'll start to actually get a little bit more information. Like, I expect to start hearing some rhetoric going back and forth, like Trump saying, you better not, hit us with those retaliatory tariffs, that type of thing. So, I think there's going to be there could be an interesting exchange tomorrow, maybe. So, oh well, we'll bring it to the market close. Michael says, look at all of the companies that are in the ETF on jets that even have BA and major airlines. So yeah, we looked at this the other day. So jets, this is a US ETF, by the way. Now, I'll pull it up here first. So and this is a global. So US Global Jets ETF. So I assume it's going to have airlines from everywhere. Oh, no, I know what I did. There we go. I clicked on that one. It's this one right here. There we go. So yeah, here we go. And, airlines have struggled, but this is actually not bad. It's not bad looking at it. Now, if we want to see what they're holding, I am going to have to Google jets. All right, let's take a look and see if we can find U.S. Global Jets. Okay, that's what we're looking for. Right here. Okay, let's take a look. Holdings. All right, so here we go. We got United Airlines, Delta, American Airlines, Southwest. Here's Air Canada. Look at that. We need a higher percentage. We're only 4.75%. SkyWest, Blue Jet, Allegiant, Frontier, Alaska Air Group. Wait a minute. All right. Bombardier is in here too. So, okay. Do we have anything outside of North America? Okay, here we go. Airbus. Airbus. So there's a France. That's France. Japan Airlines. Rock Me Amadeus IT Group. No, sorry. Just Amadeus. But I now want to go, rock me Amadeus, rock me Amadeus, Amadeus, Amadeus. But I won't go any further because I'll get a copyright strike. Probably. ANIA, Qantas, International Consolidated Airlines, Turkhava. Okay, Turkey. Okay, there we go. But yeah, I like the fact that Canada at least made it up to the... Air Canada made it pretty high on that list. So that's pretty good, Michael. All right, low ball limit orders. I'm looking at last April for ideas. Okay. Probably good idea. I don't think it's going to be that bad though, Rory. I'm going to say this right now. If you put your expectations at last April, you're not going to get, none of your orders will get filled. I'm pretty sure of that. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't think I am, but I would maybe, if anything, I don't know, I would probably say if something went down 10%, I'm just picking that number out of my butt. If something fell 10%, I would look at 5%. Or if it fell 5%, I'd look at 2.5%. You know, I would probably look half, like maybe half. But even then, you know, I guess more realistically, I might say, where do I want to buy that at? Then put that in. All right, Scott says, I said I'd sell FF at 96, but it closed at 94 on Friday. And I think gold and miners will go up, so I'm thinking I might bump the limit sell to $1. I think that would actually be a pretty good move, Scott. I would agree with that for sure. So yeah, that's a plan. Oh, so good. Rory says it doesn't hurt to prepare. No, I mean preparation is kind of the big. It's the big way to be successful for sure. And it's also when you're prepared. So when you have a plan, especially in investing, if you have a plan, you are less likely to give in to emotion. So, you know, if you're saying, I'm going to buy at this price, I'm going to sell at this price. Well, that's a nice plan that, you know, as long as you follow it, that's the thing. You know, because sometimes the market will do some crazy things and it can easily, you know, if the market starts flying, you could be like, oh my God, I got to get more. I got to get in right now because it's flying. That's what we call FOMO, fear of missing out. And sometimes, you know, the things start falling and you're kind of like, you know, you may have a plan. Your plan probably was to hold, but all of a sudden you're thinking, oh my God, everything is falling. I'm losing money. I gotta get out. That's called FUD. It's fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So a lot of times if you have a plan, like if your plan is, okay, I will sell it at this amount or I will buy it this amount, it takes the emotion right out of the equation. And, you know, also have a plan to know when something is falling. When the markets are fine, like right now, if the market's fine and you're sitting here, okay, let's look at worst case scenarios for this stock or this ETF. When would I actually sell it? That way there, if you actually know when and under what circumstances you would sell, if you happen to have a market fluctuation that falls pretty fast, you're going to be like, oh yeah, no, this is not what I had agreed on, so I'm good. So that will prevent you from, you know, giving into fear, because so many people end up investing the wrong way. So basically, the market falls, they sell. So they end up selling low, and then the market starts rising, and they're like, oh my God, now it's going to the moon. I better get back in, and they end up buying high. And then it turns around, and it comes back down again, and they sell out of fear. So they end up doing the exact opposite. They end up buying high, selling low. That's a prescription for turning a $100,000 portfolio into an $80,000 portfolio pretty fast, and then a $60,000 portfolio, and even worse. So it's always good to have a general idea. So know beforehand. Don't wait until something crazy happens on the market to figure out what you're going to do. Know ahead of time what you plan to do if something crazy does happen, because that's the best way to sort of approach the market. All right. That was kind of cool. Tom Scott says it's time in the market, not timing the market. Exactly. Aurora, yes, Scott, I don't want distributions erased for no reason. Yeah, and guys, and keep in mind too, if you are a long-term investor, you really should almost never have to sell for the most part. For the most part, if you're investing in fundamentally sound companies, the only thing you're going to be doing is pretty much dollar cost averaging along. And if you got some extra money and the market is down, yeah, buy the dip. You shouldn't have to, like, I've mentioned this before. Brandon Beavis had this saying where he said that investing is like a bar of soap. The more you handle it, the less you have. And it's kind of true. So a lot of times you don't want to be sort of trying to time the market and, especially on the long term. Because when you look at something on the long term, the little moves that you might make day to day aren't really, they kind of don't really add up to anything on the long term. If anything, sometimes those little moves they can really hurt your portfolio. Because when you look at some of the big moves that sometimes happen in the lifetime of a stock, sometimes they just happen in one day. Just one day, bang, boom. It's like you're just cruising along, and then all of a sudden, let me show you. All of a sudden, stuff like this happens. Now, if you were a person who had been timing the stock and you didn't see this coming, and maybe you sold it here, you're thinking, all right, I'm going to sell here because I think it's going to go down. I'm going to see if I can get a lower price. You sold it here, and then this happens. And maybe this never comes back down. Maybe this was one of these defining moments where all of a sudden, this is a stock that is now worth more than $100 a share. It's not worth $50 or $60 a share. And that's just profit that you've lost forever. Now, if you were that dollar cost averager that said, okay, you know what, I could probably get a better price, so I'll just wait and maybe I'll add more at that price. Well, then you rode this up, and all of a sudden, your $60, your $60 shares are now worth like 100. Well, right now at this point, 145. So that's not too shabby at all. All right, as Scott says, my FF penny stock was a 280 investment, so it's money I can afford to play with. Nice. Very cool. And, that's the thing. There's nothing wrong with having play money. I always say, like, if you are adventurous and you just, you want to play with some penny stocks, you're like, I just want to take that chance. Well, set aside some play money. Just have a little small fund that maybe you say, okay, this is money I'm allowed to play with it. I can put it on anything. It doesn't matter. I can be risky. I can go outside my normal risk profile. Fantastic. And it's a good little thing to have. And sometimes you might be in a situation. Now, if you have play money, here's the big thing. If you have play money, and let's say you do pick something that goes and explodes. Well, at the end of that explosion, if all of a sudden you've doubled your play money, take half of it and put it in your normal money, and you still have the same play money you started with. And then, your regular investments now have a little bit of an extra bonus. And now it's almost like you're just playing with nothing, because your play money is now just profit from your previous play success. Now, the other side is you could lose your play money, and that's the thing. And if you do, then you have to decide if you do want to put more play money in, because, it's up to you. It's really, there's so many ways to properly invest. And there's ways to, like I always say, I would rather if you have that little streak where it's like, oh, I want to make a move. I really, really, really do. If you have that streak in you, then play money might save your portfolio. Because, if you start doing that in your portfolio, then there's real danger. All right. Scott says pharma companies are always a gamble because they go up or down based on the drugs that are new or come out of patent. There is some risk. And actually, I kind of touch on that a little bit in the new video that, well, I haven't filmed it yet. I'm filming it tomorrow. Rory says, egg money that your mom gave you. Michael says, CCL sector looks to be rebounding. That even oil is down like 0.63 a barrel is good for 3 sectors. Yeah, but Michael, keep in mind, oil is going up. There's an oil shortage. It's going to go up. Like right now, when you look, and let's see here. So right now we look at WTI sitting at 87. That's going to be considered a bargain price. Like I think you're gonna have a hard time on the other side of this. You'll have a hard time finding oil less than $90 a barrel. So it is going to go up. Now I like if it goes up nice and slow. That would be nice. All right, mRNA price target is to $50. That we all know that is overbought. Yeah, maybe we'll have to see. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a big fan of mRNA, the stock. Obviously, I love my messenger RNA. I mean, it plays an important role in my body, so I do like that. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let me see here. Michael says, look at PED. That is oil that did a juniper merge, the first of this year. That last Thursday profit of 131. That book value went up from 12 to 15. That paid off debt of 13 million. Well, I like everything you said there. And well, I'll take a look. We'll pull up PED. Just give me a second here. Here we go. PED. Here we go. Pedvico. Let's just pull it up here. Yeah, look at this. I mean, they're moving in the right direction, Michael. Definitely. Look at that. That's pretty cool. All right, now let's just sort of, I'm going to shrink it down a little bit. Now, yeah, at least, well, they are this week. That's not bad. I mean, yeah, they had a little bit of a, but you know what? Oil had a little bit of struggles in here anyway. So that's absolutely normal. And yeah, here's your earnings. They look good. I mean, look at this. Their earnings per share, they beat by 269.01%. You can't argue with that. That's really good. And they also beat on revenue by 21.35%. But keep in mind, they are fairly small, so it does get a little bit easier when you're smaller. But, I mean, they're not that small, though. I mean, they're still like, you know, in this case here, $13, and that's USD, so not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. Scott says FF was already paid for because I bought in 5,000 shares and left 1,000. Oh, nice. There we go. So that's basically play money in many ways. All right. Well, guys, holy banana bread. Scott has something to say before I say something. I still have OCO and KRN that I'm hoping to break out, but I have also already paid for themselves. Okay, perfect. Yeah, and that makes sense. That makes sense. All right, guys, so we are going to be back here again tomorrow. We're going to play Canadian Battleship. We'll do that at the bell, provided the bell's on time. It might be late. Of course, we also have another little game that we got going where it's guess when I'm gonna hit the bell, and we're keeping a rally, keeping track. Actually, right now, let me just pull up the leaderboard. We have a leaderboard. Apparently, I have a leaderboard here somewheres. Where the heck? Oh, that's right. I dragged it all the way over here. Okay, all right, I'm going to go back here. There are my guesses. My leaderboard is right over here. Here's our leaderboard. So currently, may the force be with you. That can go away. We got Rory in first place with 3 points. Hiep with 2, Isaiah with 2, and then Brian, Roku, Elaine, and Michael Musselman is here with a point as well. So will you be adding your name to this tomorrow? Or will you be, buffering your lead a bit more, Rory? We'll see. I can't wait. Scott saying 4 p.m. Got to get here for... You can't guess the day before. Yeah, you got to wait till the stream starts tomorrow, Scott. Put in your guess tomorrow. All right, guys. Until tomorrow... excuse me, a little bit of a burpee. I will bid you all a great what's left of the weekend. I can't wait. Let's see what tomorrow holds. It could be a fun day for sure. Until then, though, guys, I got a couple of words I want to say before I go. The first one is bye, and the second one is also, it's the same word, bye. So bye-bye.